First contact gone wrong. The year was 2157, and humanity had just taken its first tentative steps into the vast expanse of interstellar space. After centuries of gazing at the stars and wondering if we were alone in the universe, we finally had our answer. We were not. The Zarkonian Empire, a sprawling civilization spanning hundreds of star systems, had made contact with Earth. Their massive ships appeared in orbit without warning, causing a mixture of awe and panic among Earth's population. However, initial communications were peaceful, if somewhat condescending. The Zarkonians viewed us as a primitive species, barely out of our cradle, but potentially useful. Admiral Sarah Chen, a decorated veteran of the United Earth Space Force, was chosen to lead a diplomatic mission to the Zarkonian homeworld. Among her team was Dr. Marcus Reeves, a brilliant xenobiologist, and his daughter, 8-year-old Lily. The inclusion of a child was controversial, but it was meant to showcase humanity's trust and openness. As the Earth delegation's sleek ship, the ESS Harmony, approached the Zarkonian homeworld of Zarkon Prime, tension filled the air. The alien planet loomed before them, a swirling mass of purple and green, orbited by gleaming space stations and defensive platforms. "Remember," Admiral Chen briefed her team, "we're here to establish peaceful relations. The Zarkonians may be technologically advanced, but we have much to offer as well. Let's show them the best of humanity." The landing was smooth, and the Earth delegation was greeted by a group of tall, reptilian-like beings with iridescent scales and 4 arms. Their leader, High Chancellor Vexilor, towered over the humans, his cold, yellow eyes scrutinizing them. "Welcome to Zarkon Prime," Vexilor's translator device conveyed. "We hope this exchange will be mutually beneficial." The negotiations began in earnest. For days, the two sides discussed trade, cultural exchange, and technological cooperation. The Zarkonians were particularly interested in human art and music, finding our creativity fascinating. In return, they offered glimpses of their advanced medical technology and faster-than-light travel systems. However, as the talks progressed, it became clear that the Zarkonians viewed humans more as potential servants than equals. They spoke of uplifting humanity, of guiding our development, under their strict control, of course. Tensions began to rise. Admiral Chen pushed back against the Zarkonians' patronizing attitude, asserting humanity's right to self-determination. Dr. Reeves, meanwhile, grew increasingly concerned about the aliens' true intentions. On the 5th day of negotiations, disaster struck. Little Lily Reeves, fascinated by the alien world, had wandered away from the Earth compound to explore a nearby garden. A group of young Zarkonians, offspring of the ruling elite, encountered her there. What exactly happened next would be debated for years to come. Some said it was a misunderstanding, others called it deliberate cruelty. But the result was undeniable and horrific. Lily's screams echoed through the compound. By the time her father and the Earth security team reached her, it was too late. The young Zarkonians, with their superior strength and sharp claws, had fatally wounded the child, apparently viewing her as some sort of strange animal to be hunted. The diplomatic mission dissolved into chaos. Dr. Reeves cradled his daughter's broken body, wailing in anguish. Admiral Chen, her face a mask of fury, demanded justice from High Chancellor Vexilor. But the Zarkonian leader's response chilled them to the bone. "Regrettable," he said, his translator conveying no emotion. "But the young ones were merely playing. Surely you understand that your offspring are quite fragile compared to ours. Perhaps you should not have brought such a weak creature to our world." The Earth delegation retreated to their ship, carrying Lily's body with them. As they prepared for emergency liftoff, Admiral Chen sent a heavily encrypted message back to Earth, containing 2 simple words: "Casus Belli." As the ESS Harmony broke orbit, alarms blared. The Zarkonians, perhaps realizing the gravity of the situation, had decided not to let them leave. Energy weapons lanced out from the orbital platforms, scoring hits on the human ship's hull. Evasive maneuvers. Chen barked, taking command of the bridge. "Get us out of here now." The Harmony's engines flared to life, pushing the ship to its limits. They dodged and weaved through a barrage of alien fire, their own point defense systems working overtime to intercept incoming missiles. Just as it seemed they might not make it, a gap opened in the Zarkonian defenses. The Harmony shot through, accelerating to faster-than-light speed as soon as they cleared the gravity well. In the sudden quiet of slip space, Admiral Chen looked around at her battered crew, at the grieving father clutching a small draped form, and at the data they'd managed to gather on Zarkonian capabilities. "Send a priority message to Earth Command," she ordered, her voice hard as steel. "The Zarkonians have made their intentions clear. They see us as animals, as prey. It's time to show them just how dangerous we can be." As the Harmony raced back to Earth, carrying news of tragedy and the seeds of war, humanity stood on the brink of its greatest challenge. The stars, once a source of wonder and hope, now promised only conflict. But in the face of an alien threat that underestimated them, humanity would prove that sometimes the most dangerous predators are those backed into a corner. The Earth-Zarkonian War was about to begin, and the galaxy would never be the same. The call to arms. The news of Lily Reeve's death spread across Earth like wildfire. Grief turned to anger, and anger to resolve. Humanity, once divided by borders and ideologies, found itself united in the face of an alien threat that saw them as little more than animals. In the halls of the United Earth Government in Geneva, emergency sessions were called. Leaders from every nation gathered to determine humanity's response to this unprovoked aggression. Admiral Sarah Chen, still bearing the physical and emotional scars of the disastrous first contact, stood before the assembled leaders. Her voice, steady and determined, filled the chamber. "The Zarkonians have made their stance clear," she declared. "They view us not as equals, not even as sentient beings worthy of respect, but as prey. They killed a child, one of our children, and showed no remorse. If we do not act now with all our strength, they will come for the rest of us, for all our children." The debate was fierce but brief. Within hours, a decision was reached. Earth would go to war. But this would be no ordinary conflict. Humanity knew it was technologically outmatched by the vast Zarkonian Empire. Victory would require innovation, determination, and a willingness to push the boundaries of science and strategy. Operation Nemesis was born. All across the planet, factories were repurposed for wartime production. The greatest scientific minds were gathered in secret facilities, tasked with developing weapons and defenses that could stand against alien technology. In orbit, the shipyards worked around the clock. The United Earth Space Force, once a small peacekeeping armada, was about to become the spearhead of humanity's survival. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, a brilliant physicist, led the team developing Earth's new flagship weapon, the quantum destabilizer cannon. Theoretically capable of tearing apart the very fabric of space-time, it was a weapon of last resort, but one that might just even the odds against the technologically superior Zarkonians. "We're pushing the boundaries of known physics," Dr. Rodriguez explained to Admiral Chen during a progress briefing. "The power requirements are enormous, and there's a risk of catastrophic failure. But if it works, Chen finished, "we'll have a chance. Keep pushing, Doctor. We'll need every advantage we can get." Meanwhile, in the depths of the Marianas Trench, another secret project was underway. Operation Kraken aimed to create a new breed of space vessel, one that could move undetected through Zarkonian sensor nets. Commander Jack Harper, a former submarine captain turned spacecraft designer, oversaw the construction of the ESS Leviathan, the first of these stealth ships. "She's a beauty," Harper said, gazing at the sleek, black hull of the Leviathan. Absorptive coating that makes her nearly invisible to sensors, silent running capabilities, and enough firepower to punch well above her weight class. "The Zarkonians won't know what hit them." As Earth prepared for war, the first reports of Zarkonian incursions into the Sol system began to trickle in. Small scout ships, testing Earth's defenses and gathering intelligence. Each one was driven off or destroyed, but it was clear that a larger invasion force was not far behind. In response, Earth accelerated its plans. The Moon was transformed into a fortress, bristling with defense platforms and hangars for Earth's growing fleet. Mars became a forward operating base, its subterranean caverns housing factories and barracks for the newly formed Earth Defense Force. Recruitment centers around the world were flooded with volunteers, men and women from every walk of life, driven by a mix of fear, patriotism, and a burning desire for vengeance, signed up to fight for Earth's survival. Among them was Michael Reeves, older brother of the slain Lily. As he donned the uniform of the Earth Defense Force, he thought of his sister and the future she'd never have. "I'm doing this for you, Lily," he whispered. "For you, and for all of us." 6 months after the tragedy on Zarkon Prime, Earth's transformation was nothing short of miraculous. A planet that had been divided and focused inward was now united and reaching for the stars with newfound purpose. The first wave of Earth's new fleet assembled in high orbit. Sleek destroyers, massive carriers, and the experimental stealth ships formed up around the flagship, the ESS Retribution. At its heart was the untested quantum destabilizer cannon, humanity's trump card in the coming conflict. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the Retribution, surveying the Armada before her. Each ship represented countless hours of labor, the pinnacle of human ingenuity and determination. "Fleet status," she asked her XO, Commander David Zhang. "All ships report ready, Admiral," Zhang replied. "The Zarkonian fleet has been detected entering the Kuiper Belt. They'll be within engagement range in approximately 72 hours. Chen nodded, her expression grim but determined. She opened a channel to the entire fleet, her words broadcast to every ship, every soldier, and back to the billions watching on Earth below. "Men and women of Earth," she began, her voice steady and resolute. "We stand at the precipice of the greatest challenge our species has ever faced. The Zarkonians believe us weak, primitive, unworthy of respect or dignity. They killed one of our children and thought we would cower in fear." She paused, letting her words sink in. "But they don't know us. They don't know our history, our resilience, our unwavering spirit in the face of adversity. We are the descendants of those who crossed oceans in wooden ships, who reached the moon with slide rules and sheer determination, who have faced extinction and environmental catastrophe and emerged stronger. Now we will show them the true strength of humanity. We fight not just for our own survival, but for our right to exist as free beings in this vast universe. We fight for Lily Reeves, and for every child who deserves a future among the stars. The road ahead will be hard. We will face losses, setbacks, moments of doubt. But we will persevere. We will fight. And we will win. For Earth. For humanity. For our future." As Chen's words echoed across the fleet, a roar of determination rose from every ship. On Earth, in homes and public squares, billions added their voices to the battle cry. The ESS Retribution's engines flared to life, leading the fleet towards their rendezvous with destiny. Humanity's first interstellar war was about to begin, and the galaxy was about to learn just how formidable humans could be when pushed to the brink. As the fleet moved out, Admiral Chen had one final thought. "Lily, I hope we make you proud." The battle begins. The void of space, once peaceful, now crackled with tension as two armadas faced each other on the edge of the Sol system. On one side, the sleek, organically shaped vessels of the Zarkonian Empire, their hulls shimmering with an otherworldly iridescence. On the other, the angular, utilitarian ships of Earth's fleet, a testament to humanity's rapid militarization. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the ESS Retribution, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. The Zarkonian fleet outnumbered them nearly 3-1, But Chen knew that victory often went to the more determined, not necessarily the more numerous. "All ships, battle stations," she ordered, her voice calm despite the weight of humanity's fate resting on her shoulders. "Remember your training. Remember why we fight. Initiate Operation Thunderbolt." Across the fleet, pilots scrambled to their fighters, gunners manned their stations, and engineers prepared for the stress of combat. On the Retribution, Dr. Elena Rodriguez made last-minute adjustments to the quantum destabilizer cannon, praying that the untested weapon would function as intended when the time came. The Zarkonian fleet, seemingly confident in their superior numbers and technology, made the first move. A wave of fighter craft poured from their carriers, followed by a barrage of energy weapons that lit up the darkness of space. Evasive maneuvers. Chen barked. "Destroyers, form up and return fire. Carriers, launch all squadrons. Stealth ships, you know your targets." The space between the fleets erupted in chaos. Earth fighters, smaller and more agile than their alien counterparts, darted between the larger ships, engaging in furious dogfights. The stealth ships, led by the ESS Leviathan, slipped undetected through the Zarkonian lines, their cloaking technology proving its worth. Commander Jack Harper, at the helm of the Leviathan, felt a grim satisfaction as his ship glided past the alien vessels, unnoticed. "Approaching primary target," he reported. Preparing to engage. The Leviathan decloaked directly behind a Zarkonian battlecruiser, unleashing a devastating volley of missiles at point-blank range. The alien ship, caught completely off guard, erupted in a series of explosions before Harper re-engaged the cloak and slipped away. Similar scenes played out across the battlefield as Earth's stealth ships struck from the shadows, sowing confusion and destruction in the Zarkonian ranks. Meanwhile, the main fleets clashed head-on. Earth's destroyers, though outnumbered, fought with a ferocity that seemed to surprise the Zarkonians. Human tactics, honed by centuries of terrestrial warfare and adapted for space combat, proved remarkably effective. Michael Reeves, now a fighter pilot, led his squadron in a daring attack run on a Zark. Michael Reeves, now a fighter pilot, led his squadron in a daring attack run on a Zarkonian destroyer. "Remember Lily," he shouted over the comm as his fighters weaved through a barrage of alien fire. Their missiles found their mark, crippling the destroyer's engines and leaving it vulnerable to a follow-up strike from an Earth cruiser. As the battle raged on, it became clear that while the Zarkonians had superior technology, they lacked the tactical flexibility and sheer determination of the human forces. Earth ships, taking heavy damage, continued to fight long after their Zarkonian counterparts would have retreated or surrendered. Admiral Chen watched the ebb and flow of the battle, looking for the right moment to unleash their secret weapon. "Dr. Rodriguez," she called over the intercom. "Status on the quantum destabilizer." "Charged and ready, Admiral," came the reply, tinged with both excitement and apprehension. "But remember, we only have one shot at this. The power drain will leave us vulnerable for several minutes afterward." Chen nodded grimly. "Understood. All ships, execute Maneuver Omega. Let's give them a target they can't resist." The Earth fleet suddenly seemed to falter, creating a gap in their formation with the Retribution at its heart. The Zarkonians, sensing weakness, took the bait. Their largest battleship, a behemoth that dwarfed even the Retribution, moved to exploit the apparent vulnerability. "Steady," Chen murmured, watching the alien flagship draw closer. "Steady. Now, fire the TD cannon." A beam of blinding energy erupted from the Retribution, striking the Zarkonian flagship dead center. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, reality itself seemed to warp around the alien ship. Space twisted and buckled, and with a silent flash that seemed to distort the very fabric of the universe, the massive vessel simply ceased to exist, leaving behind only a rapidly dissipating quantum disturbance. A stunned silence fell over both fleets. The Zarkonians, who had never encountered anything like the quantum destabilizer, were momentarily paralyzed by the loss of their flagship and supreme commander. Chen seized the moment. All ships, press the attack. Show them no quarter. The human fleet surged forward with renewed vigor, tearing into the disorganized Zarkonian forces. Fighters swarmed enemy capital ships, stealth vessels struck from unexpected angles, and Earth's cruisers and destroyers engaged in brutal broadside exchanges. Hours passed, the battle raging across a vast swath of space. Wrecks of both human and Zarkonian ships littered the battlefield, a grim testament to the cost of the conflict. But slowly, inexorably, the tide began to turn in humanity's favor. As the Zarkonian fleet began to falter, Chen received an urgent communication from Earth. "Admiral," the face of the United Earth President appeared on her screen, looking grave. "Our long-range sensors have detected a second Zarkonian fleet entering the system. They'll reach your position in less than 48 hours. You need to end this battle and prepare for their arrival." Chen's mind raced, calculating options. They had bloodied the Zarkonians, proved that humanity was no easy prey, but could they withstand a second assault so soon? "Understood, Madam President," she replied, her voice steady despite the weight of the decision before her. "We'll finish this and be ready." Turning back to the battle, Chen opened a channel to the enemy fleet. "Zarkonian forces," she broadcast on all frequencies, "you have witnessed the power we wield and the strength of our resolve. Retreat now, and you may survive to warn your empire of the folly of underestimating humanity. Stay and be destroyed." For several tense moments, there was no response. Then, to the astonishment of the human fleet, the remaining Zarkonian ships began to turn away, their engines flaring as they fled towards the outer system. A cheer went up across the Earth fleet, but Chen silenced it quickly. "This is only the beginning," she reminded her forces. "Recover all survivors, salvage what you can from the enemy wrecks. We have less than 2 days to prepare for round 2, and this time, they'll know what they're up against." As the adrenaline of battle faded, the true cost of the engagement became clear. Thousands of human lives had been lost, dozens of ships destroyed or crippled. Yet they had achieved what many thought impossible. They had defeated a technologically superior foe and sent them running. In the aftermath, as damage reports flooded in and medical ships worked tirelessly to save the wounded, Chen allowed herself a moment of reflection. They had proven humanity's worth, avenged Lily Reeves, and countless others. But the war was far from over. Staring out at the debris-strewn battlefield, Chen steeled herself for the challenges ahead. The Zarkonians would return, and this time they would be out for blood. But humanity had tasted victory, had seen that the aliens were not invincible. Whatever came next, Earth would face it standing tall, united in their determination to secure their place among the stars. As the fleet regrouped and began preparations for the next battle, a new sense of purpose filled every ship, every heart. They were no longer fighting just for survival, but for a future where humanity could stand proud as equals in the galactic community. The first great battle of the Earth-Zarkonian War was over, but the struggle for humanity's destiny among the stars had only just begun. The turning point. The next 48 hours were a blur of frantic activity for the Earth fleet. Damaged ships were patched up as best they could be. Survivors were rescued from the void, and every scrap of salvageable Zarkonian technology was analyzed for any advantage it might provide. Admiral Sarah Chen hadn't slept, surviving on stims and sheer force of will as she prepared her battered forces for the coming storm. The quantum destabilizer cannon, their ace in the hole, was a one-shot weapon. It would take weeks to rebuild and recharge. They would have to face this second Zarkonian fleet without it. As the enemy ships appeared on long-range sensors, Shen gathered her top officers for a final briefing. The holographic display showed a Zarkonian armada even larger than the first, bristling with weapons that human sensors couldn't even identify. "We're outgunned and outnumbered," Chen stated bluntly. "But we have something they don't: desperation. We're fighting for our very existence. Every person on every ship knows that if we fail here, Earth burns. We will not let that happen. Commander David Jung, his arm in a sling from injuries sustained in the previous battle, spoke up. Admiral, we've been analyzing the Zarkonian comm chatter we intercepted. There's something odd about it. Chen raised an eyebrow. Odd how, Commander? It's fragmented, contradictory, almost as if different parts of their fleet are getting different orders. We think their command structure might be more centralized than we initially believed. If we could exploit that. A spark of an idea flared in Chen's mind. Dr. Rodriguez, she turned to the physicist. How quickly could you repurpose our Key-D technology into something smaller? Rodriguez blinked, then her eyes widened as she caught on to the Admiral's train of thought. You're thinking of a targeted strike. It's possible, but we'd need to get much closer than last time. Practically point-blank range. And how would we do that without being blown to atoms? Jack Harper, commander of the stealth ship Leviathan, asked skeptically. Chen's lips quirked in a grim smile. We go in plain sight, right through their front door. The plan was audacious, bordering on suicidal. But as Chen laid it out, a spark of hope began to kindle in the eyes of her officers. It was dangerous, yes, but it just might work. And more importantly, it was their only chance. As the Zarkonian fleet entered the inner solar system, they found the remnants of Earth's forces arrayed before them in a defensive formation around Mars. The human ships looked battered, many visibly damaged from the previous engagement. Easy prey, or so it seemed. The alien commanders, eager to avenge their earlier defeat, ordered an all-out assault. Their ships surged forward, energy weapons blazing, while squadrons of fighters swarmed ahead like angry insects. The Earth fleet held their ground, returning fire and taking heavy losses. But amidst the chaos of battle, a single ship broke from the human formation, accelerating straight towards the heart of the Zarkonian Armada. It was the ESS Retribution. It told scorched and scarred, looking for all the world like a wounded animal, making the desperate final charge. Aboard the Retribution, Admiral Chen gripped her command chair as the ship shuddered under enemy fire. Steady as she goes, she ordered, her voice calm despite the maelstrom around them. All power to forward shields. Weapons, hold your fire. We can't risk them realizing this isn't a suicide run. On the bridge of the Zarkonian flagship, Supreme Commander Zexfor watched the approaching human vessel with a mix of contempt and curiosity. What game are they playing? He mused. No matter. Destroy that ship, but leave enough for our scientists to study. I want to know what drives these primitives to such foolish bravery. But as Zarkonian weapons fire intensified, the Retribution did something unexpected. It broadcast a message, not in any alien language, but in English, on all frequencies. People of Earth, Admiral Chen's voice rang out across the battlefield and back to the waiting billions on humanity's homeworld. We who are about to die salute you. Remember us. Fight on. Never surrender. The message was a ruse, designed to convince the Zarkonians that this was indeed a last desperate attack. But it had another purpose. Hidden in the transmission was a highly encrypted signal, activating sleeper protocols in the salvaged Zarkonian tech they had recovered. All across the alien fleet, systems began to glitch. Weapons misfired, shields fluctuated, and communication arrays sputtered. The disruption lasted only moments, but it was enough. In that instant of confusion, the Retribution's battered hull seemed to shimmer and fade, revealing the sleek, undamaged form of the ESS Leviathan beneath. The stealth ship had been cloaked with a holographic projection of the Retribution, a Trojan horse carrying Earth's last, best hope. Before the Zarkonians could react, the Leviathan was among them, maneuvering with impossible agility for a ship its size. It pulled up alongside the alien flagship, so close they were almost touching. Now, Dr. Rodriguez, Chen shouted. A focused beam of quantum energy lashed out from the Leviathan, not powerful enough to destroy the massive Zarkonian ship, but precisely calibrated to its target, the alien command and control center. Reality twisted and warped around the point of impact. When it stabilized, a significant portion of the Zarkonian flagship's upper decks simply no longer existed, including the bridge and primary communication arrays. The effect on the alien fleet was immediate and dramatic. With their centralized command structure suddenly decapitated, the Zarkonian ships fell into disarray. Contradictory orders flew back and forth. Some ships began to retreat while others pressed the attack with reckless abandon. All ships, this is Admiral Chen. Her voice rang out across the human fleet. The enemy is in disarray. Hit them with everything we've got. For Earth. What followed was not so much a battle as a rout. The human forces, though heavily outnumbered, fought with coordination and purpose against an enemy that had suddenly lost its unified will. Earth fighters darted between capital ships, picking off targets of opportunity. Cruisers and destroyers focused their fire, methodically dismantling the largest Zarkonian threats. Hours passed, the tide of battle ebbing and flowing, but ever turning in humanity's favor. Finally, as the last organized resistance crumbled, the remaining Zarkonian ships fled, jumping to faster-than-light travel in a desperate bid to escape. As the adrenaline of battle faded, the bridge of the Leviathan erupted in cheers and tears of joy. They had done it. Against all odds, humanity had faced the full might of the Zarkonian Empire and emerged victorious. Admiral Sarah Chen allowed herself a small smile as she watched her crew celebrate. They had earned this moment. But her mind was already turning to the future. This was a great victory, yes, but the war was far from over. "Commander Zhang," she called, her voice cutting through the jubilation. "Prepare a message to Earth. Tell them we've won the battle. But now the real work begins." As the Leviathan turned back towards the red planet, Chen gazed out at the starfield. Humanity had proven itself on the galactic stage. They had shown that determination and ingenuity could triumph over superior technology and numbers. But Chen knew that the galaxy was vast, full of wonders and terrors yet unknown. This victory was not an end, but a beginning. Humanity's journey to the stars had truly begun, baptized in fire and tempered by adversity. Whatever challenges lay ahead, Earth would face them standing tall, united, and unafraid. The stars awaited triumph and reflection. In the months following the decisive battle over Mars, Earth underwent a transformation unlike anything in its history. The victory against the Zarkonian Empire had not just saved humanity from subjugation or extinction. It had catapulted our species onto the galactic stage in a way no one could have predicted. Admiral Sarah Chen, hailed as the savior of Earth, found herself at the center of this new era. As she stood before the United Earth Council in Geneva, she couldn't help but reflect on the journey that had brought them all to this point. "Distinguished members of the Council," she began, her voice carrying easily through the packed chamber. "1 year ago, we faced an enemy that saw us as little more than animals, unworthy of respect or dignity. They killed one of our children and expected us to cower in fear. Instead, we showed them, and the galaxy, the true strength of humanity." A murmur of agreement rippled through the assembly. Chen continued, "Our victory was hard-won and came at a great cost. We must never forget the sacrifices made by those who gave their lives to secure our future among the stars. But now we must look forward. The galaxy has taken notice of humanity, for better or worse. We are no longer alone, and we can never go back to thinking of ourselves as isolated on our little blue world." The holographic displays around the chamber flickered to life, showing images of the aftermath of the war. Zarkonian ships, now under human control, being studied by teams of scientists. Earth factories retooling to incorporate alien technology. The first human colonies being established on distant worlds, made possible by the faster-than-light drive reverse-engineered from captured Zarkonian vessels. "We stand at a crossroads," Chen declared. "We have proven our strength, our resilience, our capacity for innovation in the face of overwhelming odds. But now we must prove our wisdom. The temptation to use our newfound power to dominate, to become the very thing we fought against, will be great. We must resist it." She paused, letting her words sink in. "I propose that we extend an olive branch to the defeated Zarkonian Empire. Not out of weakness, but out of strength. We will offer them peace, but on our terms. We will show them, and the rest of the galaxy, that humanity is not just capable of great ferocity in war, but also great compassion in victory." The chamber erupted in debate. Some voices called for retribution, for pushing the advantage and subjugating the Zarkonians as they had intended to do to Earth. Others agreed with Chen, arguing that this was an opportunity to reshape galactic politics and position humanity as a force for positive change. As the arguments raged, Chen's mind drifted to a quieter scene from a few days earlier. She had visited the Reeves family to personally deliver the news that Michael, Lily's brother, had survived the war and was being hailed as a hero for his actions in the final battle. Dr. Marcus Reeves, still bearing the weight of his daughter's loss, had looked at Chen with tired eyes. "Was it worth it, Admiral?" he had asked. "All this death, all this destruction, was it worth it?" Chen had taken a moment to consider her answer carefully. "Dr. Reeves," she had said finally, "I believe that Lily's death, tragic and senseless as it was, became the catalyst for humanity's greatest leap forward. We will never forget her, and in a way, every step we take among the stars will be in her memory." Now, standing before the council as they debated humanity's future, Chen cleared her throat, silencing the chamber once more. "Members of the council, distinguished representatives of Earth, I understand the desire for retribution. The Zarkonians brought war to our doorstep, threatened our very existence. But I ask you this: what kind of species do we want to be? What legacy do we want to leave for future generations?" She gestured to the holographic displays, which now showed images of Earth, vibrant and alive. "We fought this war not just for survival, but for the right to determine our own." In the years that followed, Earth underwent a renaissance. The incorporation of alien technology accelerated human development in ways previously unimaginable. Medical breakthroughs extended lifespans and cured diseases once thought incurable. Clean energy solutions solved the climate crisis. Faster-than-light travel opened up the galaxy for exploration and colonization. The Galactic Cooperative, headquartered on a massive space station in neutral territory, became a beacon of hope and progress. To everyone's surprise, the Zarkonians, humbled by their defeat, became one of the most enthusiastic supporters of the new galactic order. Other species, drawn by the promise of peaceful cooperation and technological exchange, soon joined. 5 years after the end of the war, Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the observation deck of the GC headquarters, gazing out at the star-studded expanse. Behind her, representatives from a dozen different species mingled, their varied forms a testament to the diversity of life in the universe. A familiar voice drew her attention. "Quite a view, isn't it, Admiral?" Chen turned to see Michael Reeves, now Earth's ambassador to the Galactic Cooperative. The years had matured him, the brash young fighter pilot replaced by a thoughtful diplomat. But his eyes still held that spark of determination, the same fire that had driven humanity to victory. "It certainly is, Ambassador," Chen replied with a smile. "Sometimes I still can't believe we made it here." Michael nodded, his expression turning somber for a moment. "Do you think Lily would be proud of what we've accomplished?" Chen placed a hand on his shoulder, her voice soft but firm. "I think she would be amazed, Michael. Her sacrifice, as painful as it was, became the catalyst for all of this. In a way, she'll live on through every peaceful interaction, every scientific breakthrough, every new world we discover." They stood in silence for a moment, remembering the little girl whose death had set these events in motion. Then Michael straightened, his posture resolute. "Well, we better get back to the conference. The Andromeda delegation is eager to discuss joining the cooperative." As they turned to rejoin the gathering, a small commotion near the entrance caught their attention. A group of Zarkonian diplomats had arrived, led by a familiar face. High Chancellor Vexlor, once the embodiment of Zarkonian arrogance, now stood humbled but dignified. His eyes met Chen's across the room, and he gave a respectful nod. Chen returned the gesture, marveling at how far they had all come. The Zarkonian delegation made their way through the crowd, stopping to greet Chen and Michael. Vexlor spoke, his translator conveying words that would have been unthinkable just a few years ago. "Admiral Chen, Ambassador Reeves," he said, his tone formal but sincere. "On behalf of the Zarkonian people, I want to express our continued gratitude for Earth's mercy and vision. Your galactic cooperative has brought a new era of peace and prosperity to our people, and indeed to the entire galaxy." Chen nodded, her reply diplomatic but warm. "We're glad to have the Zarkonians as partners in this endeavor, High Chancellor. Together, we're building a future that none of us could have imagined alone." As the conversation continued, touching on new joint scientific projects and cultural exchange programs, Chen felt a profound sense of accomplishment. They had faced extinction and emerged not just victorious, but enlightened. Humanity had proven itself not just fierce in war, but wise in peace. The stars, once a source of fear and conflict, now represented infinite possibilities. Humanity's children would grow up in a galaxy full of wonder, where the only limits were those of imagination and daring. As the gathering continued late into the night, with representatives from across the galaxy mingling and forging new bonds, Chen found herself by the observation window once more. The vast expanse of space stretched out before her, dotted with the lights of passing ships and distant worlds. In that moment, she remembered the words she had spoken to her fleet before that first, desperate battle. For Earth, for humanity, for our future. They had achieved all that and more. They had not just secured humanity's future, but helped shape a brighter future for all sentient beings. And it had all started with a tragedy, a moment of darkness that they had transformed into a beacon of hope for an entire galaxy. As she gazed out at the stars, Admiral Sarah Chen smiled. Whatever challenges the universe might still hold, humanity was ready. They had found their place among the stars, not as conquerors, but as peacemakers, innovators, and explorers. The journey that had begun in sorrow and rage had led them to wisdom and unity, and the adventure, she knew, was only just beginning. The end.